Okay, so we're reacting to some back tattoos again. I think there's a good pile here.
Excellent.
Let's get started.
So this one says, "Hey guys, I'll try and keep this brief, but thought I'd send over some photos of my latest back blast over. To give you some context, I've been getting tattooed since the late 90s. My then tattooist is now one of my closest friends, and he has done the majority of my work. My body, except hands, face, and neck, is pretty much full, and in some areas I'm 3 to 5 layers deep. Most recently, we did a new layer over my back and thought you may be interested and see the process from old to new. Thanks for your time. Love the channel." And it's from Aaron.
Usually they'll say, like, I'm going to keep it brief, and then it turns into, like, 3 paragraphs. Almost none of it is, like, pertaining to the tattoo.
Right? I mean, that was pretty brief considering. Yeah. I really like this old Akira piece, though.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's from Akira. It's Tetsuo sitting on that, or is it Kaneda? Whichever.
I mean, you'd have to know what it is to have any idea, right? Like, because it's just like a big blorb.
It's not, though. He's sitting. The city crumbles.
Well, this is what I'm saying, though.
And he sits on a throne.
I don't know that
because
I haven't watched
city.
that, right? So I wouldn't know any of that. But like for the '90s, that's not bad.
Well, and this is like a late '80s anime.
Yeah, I know when it was from.
Yeah,
but,
it was really good.
Usually when they'll be like, "Oh, I got this done in the '90s," it'll look like absolutely horrible. Or you'll have some cases where it's like they'll send it with no date, and you're like, "Oh, this looks like '90s style," and I'm like, "No, that could have been done a week ago," right? Like, so like the date doesn't always matter. Like sometimes there was some decent stuff happening in the '90s. Like even just to look at this, like the star doesn't look as good as the rest of it.
No.
Right? So I don't know. It's not bad. It's like you recognized it, right?
Oh yeah.
So
right
it's
away
too
too.
small.
I was like,
that whole like.
It should have been his whole back.
Yeah, that whole scene should have been the whole back, obviously. But like, I feel like things weren't done at the same scale.
Well, I think they were a little more afraid to do them at the same scale too in the '90s.
I think it's always this idea of like, I want more. See, when you get a close-up of it, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But like those little faces are always gonna bugger up on you over time.
Right.
It's just the way it is. But like, especially for the time this was done, like this is pretty cool. I quite like this.
And then we've got the beginning of his blast over. And
yeah,
it looks like
he
they did
added a whole
add
bunch,
some stuff. Yeah.
They added a whole bunch of junk all over the place, stuff that you can't really tell.
Yeah.
And then they did the size, like the size that I was talking about. So this before I've got these slightly out of order, but that's okay. I'll show them in the right order. Looks like they already did a blast over of some kind.
Yeah,
but
they
like,
added to it or something.
I appreciate the 4 to 5 layers comment, because like you will get into the absurdities if you like getting tattooed, but like it is important to note that it's not completely full saturation, right? Like the blast overs are leaving space, obviously.
Yeah, and he still has like a lot of negative space to work with.
Yeah, so
in these first iterations,
his sleeves are a little more dense than his back is, but I don't know what the fuck that is, but it looks kind of cool though.
Like a cube with some like rays coming off of it, and then it looks like it turns into a tiger.
Is that a tiger?
I'd say
it looks kind of like a dragon tiger, you know, because it's got such a long snout and everything works.
I just saying by the way the nose is, I'd say it's a tiger. It's got like a tiger nose.
Either case, it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. It almost has like a tribal-y look, but also like a trad.
By the way, like this is color on black, just so we're clear. The yellow is going over various black layers, and this is a good example of why people ask me all the time, why do you need to black out to cover something? You see how the yellow looks different all over? Like it's all saturated. The spots that look darker aren't not saturated. Like if you were to put that same yellow over all that same gray, it would still look yellow.
Yeah, you're just giving it an even canvas to go on top of, right?
So when you don't do that, it has this look like there's still black in there.
Yeah, it just tints it like different shades, and if you just black the whole thing out, you get more of an even tone across the board.
But for the people who think, oh, but those spots look black, it's like, no, they only look black because they're next to areas that weren't covered or are covering thinner amounts of black. So, for example, if it's all black, it's all just going to look like that darker yellow. But it will still look yellow. But it doesn't really matter here because, like, the approach is very clearly chaos, and I think this is the coolest looking version of it at all. Like
the blast over.
I also like that they, in their blast over, they worked the big black elements in a way that kind of pull out the guy's head. Right? Like it's a little detail that you'd probably only notice if you'd seen the prior piece. Right? And in some way, it's like you see all layers of this back tattoo because you can still see the rays through the rays that they put on the first blast over through the tiger or dragon tiger, as I'm calling it.
Driger.
So I actually kind of like the back. I'd like to see more of what this arm looks like, what these arms look like. It looks like he's got a beak or something in there.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some pretty interesting work.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like it. Thanks for sending it. It's cool.
I think that was really cool. I'd like to see more like Akira tattoos.
I'd like to see the rest of his work in general.
And then this next one just says back piece upgrade, Japanese back piece upgrade.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, I think we've seen the beginning of this, or this at some point. But I've seen a lot of these, so don't take offense. Like, sometimes when you guys send these in, it would be helpful if you sent in the prior version too. Just to give
so
me
we
some
remember.
Context. Whatever the fucking case is, like, this looks really, really good. So, it's a really cool back piece. I think one side of it is better than the other in terms of contrast.
Yeah.
Like, I like the darker side and the more red side.
I do too. I like the more red side too. That's the side my eyes are drawn to.
There's just a little too much open space in the other side.
It doesn't look finished to me though, so I don't know.
It might not be. Like, you could definitely do more, but I could see walking away from this too. Like, I could see them wanting to leave. Like, I think you're probably meaning, like, in the clouding and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that probably looks like it should be more black in there, but I could see them leaving some of that in the negative. Also, kind of looks like there might be a cover-up going on in some way here, in some spots.
Yeah, you think so?
I don't think so. It just has a look like it could be. Right? Like, up near the top. But, like, it's really cool. I like how they use the blue in the sword, like, to give it a nice natural shine, and in his nails too. This is some very traditional.
Well, even the robe, it looks white because of the blue, like, highlights and folds and shadows, right?
It's a very traditional approach, and I understand that we're talking about Japanese traditional, but, like, I mean, it's a very traditional approach to that. And these days we have a lot of neo-traditional approaches to doing this. In Japanese traditional tattooing, same as American traditional, they tended not to use white ink. So it's a very old-minded piece, and I think it will hold up very well. If you do more, send it on our way. Looks really cool.
It does look really cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these, and it's a little confusing in places, but very cool. So then we just got this one, and a loaf of bread.
Nice bread.
Yeah, some 47 grain bread is at the forefront.
Yeah.
For some reason. Do we have any more pictures of this thing?
No, just
No?
this one.
So why don't we just close up on this, because the bread is stealing the show currently.
Oh, it's actually kind of cool.
I might just be hungry or something.
Many-eyed Jesus with, like, the bloody tears. I like this kind of idea. I just don't. It's a back piece, but I just think that there could be more going on. Maybe a bigger
I actually
Jesus
don't
head.
think there could be more going on. I think it's too much going on, and I think what you wanted was less snake, bigger Jesus.
Bigger Jesus.
And whatever the things on the side are were clearly there before they started this, and so then they just kept adding in proportion.
I want more Jesus and more chalice.
Well, we're too late for that now, but what I would definitely recommend is getting some kind of a color background in here to differentiate these things.
Yeah, push Jesus forward a bit.
Especially because they have already committed to color in the blood, which kind of looks like a pitchfork.
No, yeah.
Right? Like, it's kind of, I don't know if they meant for that to happen, but because it's kind of got this whole spooky evil vibe to it, right?
Yeah, I kind of like that.
But, yeah, no, the color that's here is cool. So I think some color, like even some gold in the sun rays would help.
Or like
coming
the
off
crown
of the sun
of
rays.
thorns could use some like blood as well.
You could easily get in there with some highlights because it's
Yeah.
barely shaded. You get in there with some red highlights, and when I look at the eyes, it gives me this sort of trippy effect,
Yeah.
which is cool.
It's doing its job.
But it has room to do more of that with some, I think, some shading in between the eyes, right, to give it some more dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but overall, like it's pretty cool. I think though when you add color to one spot, I understand they wanted it to look very striking with the blood only colored, but like I see all of a sudden it's like there's more blood drops coming from the skin rips there. Get some red in those, maybe some red or some fire coloring around the cross there. It looks like that's supposed to be fire. All of a sudden the snake can be in color too, right?
Yeah.
And then like
It'll
a cool
help lead your eyes around.
a cool blue background behind it all would be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I see. I think sun rays to begin with, like you should have some gold in there.
Yeah, like a nice, like that sun could be like a super nice, like golden yellow.
Where I was talking earlier about trad tattoos taking on neo-trad sensibilities, this is exactly what I mean. Like this is a very neo-trad take on what is attempting like trad imagery.
Yeah.
And the thing is a lot of trad has color in it anyway, so it's like it wouldn't hurt this tattoo at all to put more color in it. Overall, it's pretty cool, but it does look unfinished to me.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it looks a little bit unfinished, but I like the concept.
More work to be done kind of all over the place.
Always.